past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York. Well, hello, everybody. Once again, it appears that Kevin Wilson and Andrew Hollister are too busy to do the show today. So yours truly, sitting in Bob Savage here in the air chair. And today, by super secret, triple probation wireless hookup, we have Dwayne Whitmer, who will be joining us from someplace, a remote studio. He is the Libertarian candidate for Congress from New York's 27th District. Come in, Dwayne. Do you read me?
I sure can. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's great. So where were you? Are you speaking to us from scenic Olean today, or?
No, I'm in Hamburg. I'm in Hamburg, New York. I'm at home today. I'm in my home office.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, New York 27th. Olean is your hometown. But if you're going to run the 27th, I guess you better live in the district. And so you're facing off against Chris Jacobs, the Republican, and Nate McMurray, former Grand Island town supervisor and one-time candidate for the 27th himself.
Yep, that's us. The three of us will be on the ballot in November.
So tell us how the race is going. Are you excited about this? What do you have to say to your future constituents?
Yes, it's been a great time. I started early, knowing that I'm running as a third party. I never had any intent to try to get a major, the Democrat or Republican lines. I don't feel that those parties represent us anymore. So I wanted to run strictly as a third party in this race. So I started campaigning early. Unfortunately, coronavirus devastated the campaign, where third parties rely on town festivals, fairs, door knocking, door hanging, all the events that people gather at to reach people for free or low cost. None of them are happening. So it's made campaigning in this time near impossible. Events are just starting to happen, but all the fairs and festivals are canceled. Gatherings are kind of starting to happen. We have started door knocking and door hanging, but it's real hard to reach people cheaply. I don't know what word I'm looking for there, but it's real hard to reach mass people when you don't have the fairs and festivals. So it's been a little bit more difficult than we expected.
Yeah, I would imagine that social media is going to be your friend with regards to campaigning, because even door knocking. I mean, that's even if you're social distancing, wearing a mask and everything. People, unfortunately, it's very sad. They're kind of shunning each other these days.
Yes, the actual and what's worse is I was kind of blinded by this. I've never been yelled at. No one said anything to me as a door hang. No one's yelled at me for not social distancing or door hanging. I've been yelled at because I'm not Team Red or Team Blue, but I've never been yelled at for, anything other than that. A couple of my female staffers who've done door knocking and door hanging have been yelled at, so I feel kind of bad for them. So it's something that we have to kind of keep in mind when we're doing this stuff.
Well, people are afraid. The tragic story from West Seneca over there, right in your neck of the woods, there was a couple of guys got into a fight at a sports bar over face masks, wearing masks, COVID masks, and a 65-year-old went at it with an 80-year-old. 80-year-old bumped his head and got dead. He's deceased. Now the 65-year-old's facing criminally negligent homicide. And interestingly, even with that charge pending, is walking around Western New York because he was released on bond.
Yeah, I've seen, being in Hamburg, I've seen a lot of near conflict over masks and social distancing, and it's kind of weird. Because we've turned each other against each other. People, neighbor versus neighbor, parents versus kids. It's really sad to see, especially with social media. You can see it happening on social media where, I'm in a Facebook group. It's like Hamburg, the town built on friendship. And it's truly ironic when you're in that group and you see women threatening to call the police on people because they're outside playing, or because, the neighbor kids are playing with the other neighbor kids and they're not a family unit, and so they're going to call the cops or they're going to call the health department. So we've successfully managed to turn on each other pretty quickly, which is pretty sad and terrifying, because if that's all it takes, it's not great for humanity.
Well, this is a tried and true tactic of totalitarians, people who would impose their will on us and boss us around and control every aspect of our lives. That is the definition of totalitarian regimes throughout history. And one of the great techniques that they historically have used is find a way to turn people against each other. And of course,
yes. And this is actually.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I got really excited. But you're actually this is why I'm no longer Republican or Democrat, because this has been going on smaller scale the entire time. I truly believe Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi are friends behind the cameras, but when the cameras turn on, they hate each other. It's like sitcom TV. They say mean things about each other. That fires up their fan base. That fires up their donors. But really, at the end of the day, they're all part of the same team. George Carlin once said, "It's a big group, and you're not in it." And that's kind of how I feel about the political classes. That's exactly what they've been doing on a smaller scale, picking topics, guns, abortion, taxes, healthcare, picking smaller topics to keep people divided, so they don't understand that government doesn't have the solution, and they don't want to have the solution. They want to continue to pad their pensions, pad their paychecks, help their donors. As evidenced by the CARES Act, they bailed out their donors, they bailed out their corporate friends, and we got $1,200 in table scraps.
Yeah,
This has been going on for decades, and hopefully people start to wake up. But I'm not sure. We're trying to wake people up, but it's a slow battle.
Well, we're on a giant radio station with 1.4 million people that we cover, so let's wake them up using that on the blowtorch here today. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure that Dwayne Whitmer, who is our guest, by the way, on the program today in New York, Radio Free New York, the pandemic, I'm using air quotes around that because you can put me solidly in the skeptical column about how pervasive and how dangerous the coronavirus pandemic is. I think it's certainly a potentially dangerous virus, and it deserves to be respected. However, does it justify shutting down the entire state, ruining the economy, destroying jobs, closing 55% of our restaurants, according to Yelp? I say no to that. But it is the all-purpose divider. You think about that. This is why you have people screaming at you in the grocery store about put on your mask, or you're not 6 feet away from me, and so on and so forth. And speaking of hypocrisy, which I'm happy to do when it comes to Andrew Cuomo, we note the news story that came out that shows Andrew Cuomo being addressed by a member of the press corps saying, "How come you're not wearing a mask?" Whereupon Andrew Cuomo turned on the news guy and said, "Well, we're 6 feet apart. Is it 6 feet apart or a mask? Do you want to change the rule?" He says, of course, having to get aggressive, having to get in the guy's face. Well, wait a minute. Aren't people being threatened with arrest or businesses being threatened with closure because people are not observing social distance and wearing a mask? I mean, what do you say, Dwayne?
So I'm going to take a step back with this. First off, let's talk about NY27 candidates and their view of the lockdown. McMurray is a little bit pro-lockdown. He leans pro-lockdown. He believes that coronavirus is the end of the world, and that's okay. He's allowed to believe that. You're allowed to think that. Chris Jacobs is waffling because he actually voted to give Cuomo executive power. So he essentially voted to allow Cuomo to do this. That's the Republican candidate. And then you got the Libertarian candidate, me, who was on a federal lawsuit against Andrew Cuomo for his executive powers. So really you have one candidate in NY27 that opposes the lockdown and understands what you just said as far as, we're shutting down businesses and the economy for a disease with a 99% survival rate.
And 99.5, I think. Dwayne Whitmer, Libertarian candidate for New York 27th Congressional District, is our guest host, or co-host, I guess, on Radio Free New York, and we'll be back on this quality radio station.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Escape from the everyday to a getaway at Woodcliff Hotel and Spa. Woodcliff features elegantly appointed accommodations, creative cuisine, themed suites, full-service spa Elan, and is Rochester's best venue for outdoor wedding receptions overlooking the city skyline. Woodcliff Hotel and Spa, where the experience is extraordinary. Located in Fairport, call 585-381-4000 or visit woodcliffhotelspa.com.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Back to you here on Radio Free New York. Bob Savage in studio here, and remotely we are talking to Dwayne Whitmer in Hamburg. He is the Libertarian candidate for New York 27th. We want to send a shout out to our fine network affiliates, WACK in Wayne County, up there in Newark, Sodus, and those regions, 1420 AM, 96.9 FM, and in the Twin Tiers of northern Pennsylvania and southern New York, WENY, The Patriot, 1230 AM and 1450 AM, as well as 106.9 FM and 103.3 FM. If you can't find Radio Free New York on the radio in Elmira, Corning, Big Flats, you're just not trying. All right, Dwayne, let's see. We were talking about, just as we went to break, we're talking about this mask controversy, which is being used by politicians of both major parties to divide us. Distinctions without difference between the Democrats and Republicans, apparently, when it comes to this mask issue. We got to stop, being afraid. It's amazing. It's astounding to me that people find Donald Trump's attempts to inspire us and to tell us not to be afraid to be somehow offensive. And once again, that's more example of division being sown among the electorate.
So, I'm going to take another step back. I was on a good rant. So So you have coronavirus, and Cuomo shuts down the state. The reason why he did that was because if you watch the news every day, corona cases, corona deaths are reported every day around the clock. What's not reported is domestic abuse increases, suicide increases, mental health issue increase. I said domestic abuse, overdoses, suicides, homeless people, the growth in homeless population. That doesn't make the news every day. So Andrew Cuomo essentially made a decision that he's going to sacrifice the populations that need the most help to make his numbers look better in the news. That's something that people need to understand. Business closures are now starting to make the news, but only a handful. You said 55% of restaurants. You only see the big ones that are making the news. You're not seeing all the small restaurants and all the small towns that are going out of business. You're not seeing all the little shops, little family-owned restaurants, little family-owned businesses going out of business. That doesn't make the news. No one really cares.
Yeah, and
because they're afraid of the coronavirus death number.
Right. And the coronavirus is prompting people to take a look and think, and it's counterintuitive because the little, mom and pop operated hardware stores and liquor stores and so forth, groceries are being shuttered because they're non-essential. But somehow it seems to be perfectly acceptable for people to congregate in the big box stores, Wegmans, yes. Home Depot, Lowe's. And why would that be? I mean, if one store can be open, they should all be open.
Yes. It's actually, so I just did, you're not in Erie County, but our county executive, Mark Polenkires, who was Andrew Cuomo's, stooge, I don't know a better word to use, Mark Polenkires and we had some back and forth because he was caught without a mask. He was in a photo at a golf course without a mask, and you know what? I don't have a problem with that because I'm in photos without a mask because I wear a mask if I'm around someone at risk. I'll wear a mask if I'm not going to be around, or if I'm around people that I don't know. But if I don't have to wear a mask, I don't wear one. And so he was caught photographed without a mask, and his response was, "Hey, it happens. I need a second chance." He's a Dem. He's, like I said, he's Cuomo stooge. The Republican response was, "Blue team bad, he bad, go red team." And so what I did as the Libertarian chair and the Libertarian candidate said, "Okay, well, let's expand on this and get some action plans." And so I said, Mark, you're right. You deserve a second chance. We all do. Why don't you reopen the businesses you shut down through the health department, restore the licenses you pulled, and refund the fines you're collecting? Because what you're doing now is you're essentially fining these businesses to bridge the budget gaps, bridge the holes in the budget that have been created by the lack of revenue coming in from coronavirus. So the government shuts everything down, which affects the government bringing money in. And so their response is to ride the fear wave and start fining businesses that are barely staying afloat as is. It's easy for the government to do that because their paychecks are guaranteed by the taxpayer. My clients and my friends who own these businesses, their paychecks aren't guaranteed. They have to be open. So it's a pretty tone deaf and ignorant response. The worst part about all this was there was actually a test kit available in other countries, but it took 65 days to go through FDA approval. And this is in February, March. If we could have made this test go through FDA approval quicker, I could have went on Amazon in April, May, got a test kit, had it delivered with Amazon Prime in 24 to 48 hours, took the test, said, okay, I don't have it, I'm good. Oh, I have it. I got to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. But instead, because of our bureaucracy and how big our government is, the issue with progressive big government is they pass more regulations and more rules. Let's be honest, big business gives money to Congress to make them pass more rules to make it harder for the competition.
Of course.
And this is a prime example. And so people say, all these people died because of Trump, all these people died because of you, all these people died because of me, all these people died because of the Republicans. No, all these people died because we couldn't get test kits because the FDA is a bureaucracy designed to keep things slow, designed to prevent competition to big pharma. It's quite simple. We could have gotten test kits 6 months ago, but instead we had to wait, and it's still hard to get tested in some areas. Well, how can you control the spread of this if you don't know you have it and you can't get tested? It's absolutely asinine. It's absolutely insane. And so no one's really addressing the key issue here, which is, where the hell are the test kits? We're too busy blaming each other, turning on each other, and not asking the real questions.
Yeah, and also, let's all hearken back, if we could, turn back the hands of time to March of 2020, when we were told that what we have to do here to prevent from overloading the emergency departments in hospitals, as is what happened in northern Italy with the European COVID outbreak, we have to flatten the curve. Well, flattening the curve has been largely accomplished. I mean, if you look at any internet source and you take a look at the infection curves expressed over across a time continuum, you see that it is about as flat as Twiggy, and it's right now in Monroe County, your soon-to-be constituency, we have a total. We just passed as the local news likes to call it, a grim milestone. I would call it a grim cliche. But we've had 300 deaths, COVID deaths, in Monroe County, New York, over a 6-month period. I point out that 250 of those deaths occurred in the first 90 days of the COVID pandemics. It's taken us 3 more months to rack up the remaining 50. I do not diminish the tragedies of the loss of family members and loved ones, but diseases kill people. The seasonal flu does as well. So if that's not flattening the curve, Dwayne Whitmer, I don't know what is.
Yeah, right now the issue is the government. Again, people don't want to address the true issue, and that's government is made up of people who usually aren't the best. Donald Trump said Mexico isn't sending their best, and I truly believe that people in government aren't the best because they're in government. This is going to offend a lot of people watching. If you're in government, I apologize. But in the free market, in the free world, the best of the best become business owners. They become entrepreneurs. They develop products. They get into a company and start doing things where their worth is determined by what they give. And so a lot of these elected officials don't have the answers because they're not the brightest. Let's talk about the mayor of Rochester, who's indicted for campaign finance issues. Not a smart move, in my opinion. Let's talk about Schneiderman, Skelos, and Spitzer, who were all indicted. The people that we're electing to lead our lives can't run their own lives properly.
By the way, Dwayne, we have a little breaking news here too that we want to pass along to people. Former state Senate leader Joe Bruno has passed away. He also, by the way, was either accused or convicted. I can't remember which. There was some kind of a kickback scheme. He's died at 91. So we pass that along. Sorry to his family. Sorry to hear that. But another example. You're absolutely right. I mean, lovely Warren as the mayor of Rochester. It's one more plaque on the wall of shame as we see Rochester Housing Authority officials doing the perp walk. Adam McFadden and George Moses accused of dipping. Well, I guess they've copped a plea to dipping their hands into the till in Rochester Housing Authority. I mean, it just never ends.
You are correct. That's why I became a libertarian, and that's why I'm unapologetically and, aggressively libertarian, is because we're the party of small government. We're the party of lesser offices, lesser bureaucracy, and by default, less fraud and corruption. Neither party is safe from doing these kind of things. Neither party is, innocent. But when you have big government, you're going to have more people involved and more numbers involved and more ways to steal from the taxpayer. And this coronavirus response has shown that these people, when the proverbial crap hits the fan, these people don't know what to do. These people don't have the answers, so they panic and they shut everything down and they don't know how to fix it.
All right, thank you, Dwayne Whitmer. More to come here on Radio Free New York. Bob Savage along with Dwayne Whitmer, your guest co-hosts today. We will be back after a few important messages, and thanks for listening.
law and order. AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the Newstead NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll see partly cloudy skies, could be a passing shower. The winds will subside overnight, turning a little chillier again, down well into the 40s by morning. On your Thursday, we'll see sun and clouds, chance of a shower, still a gusty breeze, but not as strong. Temps in the 50s. Nice weather for Friday. Should turn mostly sunny, a little milder, into the 60s. I'm Rich Canilia on WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management. Let's talk about investment fees and commissions. Just how much are you paying to have your investments managed? If you're like most people, you really don't know the cost, right? Does this make any sense? Paying for something without knowing how much? Okay, maybe your advisor is a friend and even sends you a birthday card every year. But what real value is he providing, and at what cost? Isn't that a fair question to ask of any service provider, including your broker? For a $2 million account with annual fees and commissions totaling 2.5%, you're paying $50,000 per year. That's a lot of money. Are you receiving that level of value? If you have over $250,000, I will personally review your investments, including an analysis of the actual costs. To schedule your no-cost review, call our Pittsford office at 381-9870 or contact us from our website, HamiltonWealthManagement.com. That's HamiltonWealthManagement.com.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Smith Lumber and Hardware Center in Lakeville can help you keep warm this winter with Dry Creek Wood Pellets, offering premium made from choice hardwoods and super premium kiln dried from select hardwoods. No harmful or artificial components added. With exacting manufacturing standards, Dry Creek are among the highest performing pellet fuels available. Dry Creek Wood Pellets, sold by the ton at Smith Lumber and Hardware Center, Route 28, Lakeville. Enter the $500 giveaway. No purchase necessary. See store for details.
Emani, time for school, baby. Emani, time for school. Emani, it's time.
A different couch, a different floor, the backseat of a car. Over 2,000 Rochester school-aged children are homeless, but now there is hope. The Open Door Mission Cold Water House for moms and their children. OpenDoorMission.com/doves.
Hi, this is retired Army Colonel Paul Simonelli, host of Valor Radio. Our show has a big tent. We welcome you, whether you're a current active military, retired reservist, National Guard, or veteran, all branches and civilians too. We cover it all, new developments, military history, and reviews of great books on the military. Join us for Valor Radio, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. and podcast at WYSL1040.com.
When you feel sick for whatever reason, don't wait to get help. Noise Health Urgent Care now offers telemedicine appointments using your device to meet with a provider face-to-face from the comfort of your home. Call 585-243-9595 to schedule an appointment. Noise Health Urgent Care is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, even weekends and holidays. Walk-ins welcome at our Geneseo location, 50 East South Street. Digital X-ray available too. Noise Health Urgent Care. Your health care, your way.
Hey, would you like to save money on your insurance? We all do. That's why I get my insurance from Lawrence Associates. They save me money on my home, auto, and landlord insurance. Do what I did and give them a call at 227-7500, Lawrence Associates Insurance.
Dispatch Custom Milling in East Rochester carries metal or steel cutting blades, Lennox, Sterling, and MK Morse bandsaw blades from 1/4 inch wide to 2 inches wide, with many in stock. Sharpening service available. Visit DispatchCustomMilling.com.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
Thanks so much for joining us for Radio Free New York. It's also Andrew and Kevin Free today, but in their stead, you have, because of the depth on our bench, here the flagship in Rochester, New York, WYSL, Bob Savage, and Dwayne Whitmer, who's the Libertarian candidate for New York 27th, facing off against Chris Jacobs, the Republican, and Nate McMurray, a committed leftist, and the former town supervisor, I guess it is, of Grand Island. And he's having another run at this. He tried in the special election and lost to Chris Jacobs, and now he's teeing it up again here, Dwayne. How's it looking out there on the ground?
To be honest with you, you know how there's a whole settle for Biden campaign? Essentially, Democrats are saying that, yeah, Biden's garbage, but we gotta beat Trump. When I do a lot of groundwork in NY27, I hear a lot of that. You get the occasional diehard red no matter who Republican, where the Republican candidate could literally be, a old pair of gym socks and you'd still vote for him. Or, the same blue no matter who, Democrats could run another pair of gym socks and people would still vote for him. The average voter, the average person in the district is willing to listen. Who knows if it's going to affect the ballot box or not, but we've had a lot of really good conversations, and a lot of people really are frustrated, which deeply explains the need for a third party. In 2016, 100 million people didn't vote. Trump and Hillary both got between 62 and 64 million votes. 100 million did not vote. If did not vote was a choice, it would have won the Electoral College. So there's a lot of frustrated, fed up people out there. So it's a matter of telling them, hey, don't give up, don't stop voting. Instead, give third parties a chance. If it's not the Libertarian Party, if there's a Green Party, there's some other third parties out there too that might represent you, and give them a chance and help them build the competition. At the end of the day, a lot of people say a third party vote's a wasted vote.
Right.
You can't win. Hey, that's not how voting works. How voting works is this is going to shock a lot of people. But if you vote for Donald Trump, it's 1 vote for Donald Trump, 0 for Biden and Jorgensen. If you vote for Biden, it's 1 for Biden, 0 for Trump, 0 for Jorgensen. And if you vote for Joe Jorgensen, the Libertarian candidate, who's also the third person on all 50 ballots plus Puerto Rico and Guam, it's actually a vote for Joe Jorgensen and 0 for Biden, 0 for Trump. The establishment machine, whatever you want to call it, the swamp, whatever you want to call the political system in place, they manipulate their voters by saying, well, a vote for Joe is a vote for Trump, or a vote for Joe Jorgensen is a vote for Joe Biden. That's factually incorrect, and it's a form of mental manipulation and mental abuse to make you afraid to vote for someone else. It's what they use to make you accept the crap candidates that they run, because they don't want you to understand that their candidates are bad and vote for something else.
All right. So let me ask you a practical question here going forward.
Yeah.
So Joe Jorgensen is the best candidate out there. Do you firmly believe that, or you wouldn't be doing what you're doing? It's all very well and good to talk about voting, but we also have to talk about electing people. So what's the game plan? How is the ultimate goal here, which is to elect libertarian candidates? How is that going to take place? How are we going to get that done?
Well, as of right now in New York, there's about a dozen elected officials that are libertarian. So it's happening. We just became a real party in 2018. Well, according to New York State, an official party in 2018 because of Larry Sharpe. We need to maintain ballot access because it makes it easier for us to run races. Because the two parties have essentially a system in place where independent and third-party candidates have a real uphill battle to get involved in these races. The time and energy and money it takes to even get on the ballot is exhausting. So by the time you're ready to campaign, you're already tired. An example on a federal level is Joe Jorgensen is not in the debate with Trump and Biden, and that's because she doesn't poll at 15%. The reason why she doesn't poll at 15% is because she's not included in the polls. So that would be like me calling you and saying, hey, do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? And you answer Coke, because Coke is better than Pepsi. And then the store responds by saying, well, not enough people voted for Dr. Pepper. We're taking it off the shelf. It was never an option. Another issue is that if she gets 5% of the national vote, she can get some federal funding, which the Libertarians probably wouldn't take, but also she gets easier access to more people. And so it's unfortunately not always about winning, but it's about building the little victories so that we can compete on a national scale. So the reason why I ran was because I truly believe I'm the best candidate out of the three, but also because we need to grow the party. We need to let people know to get involved and start the snowball where, right now we're kind of a little ball, but as we grow, as people get more involved, more fired up, we get more victories, we can become more formidable.
Dwayne Whitmer is our guest and co-host here on Radio Free New York today. He's the Libertarian for New York 27th. Let's talk about the candidates on your slate here, if we could, Dwayne. One of the concerns I heard expressed by Kevin Wilson yesterday on this program was that the Libertarians don't get invited to participate in debates because the sponsoring organizations, they have various different rubrics for that. They say, well, we only want the debate to take place between major parties. And the minor parties, we don't have time to let them participate. I think that part of that is perception. This is just me. That really the Libertarian Party has to overcome the perception that you guys are the party of loony candidates. And I've heard numerous interviews on this program, quite frankly, and elsewhere, with people. I think there's like 156 Libertarians running for president. Or I just made that number up, but there's a lot of candidates. And a lot of these guys are just, not to be taken seriously. I mean, speaking absolutely frankly, I think that really damages the Libertarian brand. Because if you're marginalized by the message that your candidates put out there, that's very difficult to overcome. People just tend to dismiss you. Is there a plan that the Libertarians have to really only advance serious candidates, not people who are wearing funny hats?
So I'll answer that in a couple of ways. Number one, the Libertarian Party in the past has become because we're a smaller party and we don't run a candidate for every single race, it's easier for people to slip through the cracks that may call themselves libertarian, but they're not. They may pretend to be libertarian, but they're really not. They're just looking for a place to run. So that's why we had a lot of presidential candidates, some that were serious, some that were not. It's just because it's easier to run as a libertarian than as a Republican or Democrat. We do have some out there people in our party, but so does every party. The problem is, again, the red and blue teams, the out there people in their party are easily stifled and easily ignored, whereas the people in our party that might be a little bit out there, the red and blue teams use them as an example of why you shouldn't vote for us. If people held their own candidates to the same standard that they held third-party candidates, I don't think anyone would vote. You have evidence by, a lot of the Democrats will make fun of us saying we want corporate rule, but the issue is they're running Joe Biden, who literally wrote the 1994 crime bill, who was a fan of civil asset forfeiture, who voted for the Iraq War, who voted for the Defense of Marriage Act, who has made numerous racist comments, even this year alone. He recently said that because black women stopped the shelves, he was able to go shopping. Absolutely insane and tone deaf, yet Black Lives Matter rallies around him. If they held, the same standard to Biden as they hold the third-party candidates, they wouldn't be voting for Joe Biden. So that's an issue we fight too. We're fighting not only for our own votes, but we're fighting to dispel the myths that the other parties put out against us. Yes, I know who you're talking about. Vermin Supreme ran for president, and he wears a boot on his head and promises free ponies. The issue I have with Vermin Supreme, to be blunt and honest with you, is he runs as a joke candidate to draw people in to talk actual issues. In theory, that sounds amazing. In practicality, it doesn't work because people are so quick to dismiss something different. That's why I supported someone else for president. My guy didn't win. Jorgensen's our nominee. But that was one issue we deal with, and that's something that I now have to answer to. You just asked, Spectrum asked when we did a View interview with Spectrum recently. A lot of people asked, they say, how could we take you seriously with the candidates you run? And I understand the issue there. My response is listen to every candidate. You don't have to vote Libertarian down the ballot. I'm not asking you to vote row F all the way down. All I'm asking is that you listen to every candidate and pick the one that you think is the best.
All right, that may be easier said than done when you have 156 presidential candidates running, but in any event, we're talking libertarian politics today on Radio Free New York, and we'll be back on this quality radio station. Thanks for listening.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we're better together, and together, we're moving business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
We are back, Radio Free New York. Thanks so much for joining us. Bob Savage in studio, and in Hamburg, New York, we have Dwayne Whitmer, who's the Libertarian on the ticket for the 27th congressional race coming up here, just about a month away. Real quick, let's just touch base, if we could, Dwayne, on the well-publicized imminent visit of Andrew Cuomo to Bill's Stadium because he, quote, wants to inspect it, unquote, before allowing live fans in the stands at Bills games. Clearly a case of political showboating, as has been called out by numerous elected officials in Erie County, right?
Yeah. Andrew Cuomo doesn't care about upstate, as evidenced by the time he closed that jail down in, I believe, Livingston County, which kind of ruined a lot of small towns and small communities in that area. Andrew Cuomo makes an occasional appearance upstate to show people he exists, and that's really it. I'm looking forward to the Bills getting a new stadium and him spending like $1 billion of taxpayer money to give them a new stadium. Well, telling, the wealthy he doesn't want them here, and while telling, poor people he cares about them when he takes $1 billion from their money to give the Bills a new stadium. I'm interested in it. I think we're going to show up. I think we're going to protest it, do a little rally outside of that event when he shows. He comes upstate a few times a year, and it's always the same. He talks about how great he is. He talks about the Buffalo Billion, which is now the Buffalo 90 million because it lost all its value. He pops his chest out. He waves to the crowd that doesn't come because no one really likes him up here. And he makes some announcement, and it's always the same thing. It's political grandstanding, like you said, and it's kind of embarrassing. It's a joke.
Well, so yeah, it's third world stuff. It's the old. Yeah. Well, Erie County has been a pretty reliably Democrat outpost in upstate New York. So we are going to make an example of them by, quote, rewarding them, of course, because the truth is not in Andrew Cuomo. He didn't really reward Buffalo. He parceled out a little bit of money and built a great big solar plant there and enriched a lot of his crony friends, for which he should be prosecuted. And enormous waste and fraud took place there. And we've got 14 jobs. As a result of it, at the Tesla plant. So it's just, you're right. It is a bad joke and it's an unfunny joke. But for some reason, people keep electing Andrew Cuomo. And I have no idea why. If you want to believe the polls that are being puffed up by Cuomo, he's one of the most celebrated governors in the country. I can't imagine why that would be, because certainly his performance is abysmal and the corruption is staggering. Let's tell you what. Let's switch here to your story, the libertarian story here in the district in the 27th, Dwayne Whitmer. Tell us why people should select you, what you're going to do, what you would do for them if you were to become elected, as opposed to Chris Jacobs or Nate McMurray.
That one's easy. I love answering this question. This is the simplest question. Congress has like a 19% approval rate. First of all, no one likes the representative of Congress, as evidenced by their approval rate. If you elect me, we will be one of the few districts that actually likes our congressman because he actually cares about you. He has to earn every single vote because he's not running with blind voters voting red or voting blue. Also, let's talk about what red and blue have done for the past decades. Never-ending war, never-ending spending, never-ending debt, stagnant wages. They make promises that they never plan on living up to. They bail out their cronies with the CARES Act. They bail out their cronies in 2008 with the bank failure. Red and blue teams they're the same team. They don't fight for you. They don't care about you. They keep winning because you keep voting for them, and they have no incentive to do better.
Okay.
A vote for me sends a message to both red and blue teams that if they don't start doing better, they're going to lose their votes. And that's a huge win. Lastly, this is the last thing I'll say too, is that look how much press AOC gets. Look how much press the lady from Minnesota, the lady from Massachusetts, the squad, look how much press they get because they're kind of outsider Democrats. Could you imagine the press that a third-party candidate would get? Every time I spoke, it would be covered by national media, which that allows NY27 to highlight specific issues countrywide. That's a massive win for Western New York. That's a massive win for NY27.
All right, let me stop you for a minute here, Dwayne. Okay, I got it. You're not Democrat or Republican. They have let us down. There's no question about that. The track record is indisputable. But I'm just looking for why specifically. What issues are you going to address, and in what way to motivate people? Got it?
Got it. So I'm pro bringing the troops home, pro ending the war on drugs, pro gun. And as an accountant, my tax plan is absolutely phenomenal. for small businesses and small corporations, which is going to bring more money into small towns. I've spent 5 years to 10 years developing this tax plan by doing taxes every single day. If I can push my tax plan through, it directly benefits small businesses and small towns. It keeps more money in small towns. It keeps more money in the pockets of small business owners, which allows them to maybe stay open, especially in times like this.
All right. So let's get real specific here. What would you do about COVID and the state closures?
That's tough because that's a state issue. But I would put pressure on the federal government to pressure Cuomo to open back up. Also, I would pressure the federal government to investigate Andrew Cuomo and his Buffalo Billion scheme. I would also pressure the federal government to look into how the nursing homes were handled, where Cuomo put COVID-infected patients back into the nursing homes, which as someone who's worked with nursing homes, there's no way to prevent a spread of a virus in a nursing home. You just cannot do it. So he essentially signed death wishes for 10,000 people alone right there. I would also pressure the federal government to not bail out New York State. Andrew Cuomo is trying to get a federal bailout, but he doesn't understand that his budget wasn't balanced before COVID. We had a $6 billion shortfall coming into this year before COVID was a thing. So I would push the federal government to not bail out New York State, which will force them to either balance their budget or make cuts.
And what about, are you in favor of a national mask mandate?
I am not.
Yes.
I don't think
by the way, I put a big asterisk after that because I don't think it's legally possible for the federal government to do that anyway.
It shouldn't be. What they need to be doing is there needs to be local rule. As someone in Congress in D.C., I'm an accountant in Hamburg, New York. I don't know what a farmer in Wyoming County needs. I don't want to be in charge of his life, passing regulations that make his life harder. I don't know what a teacher in Livingston County needs. I don't know what a doctor in Genesee County needs. Why are we putting people that don't understand our lives in charge of our lives and making them supreme rulers? You should have more power, and that's what the Libertarian Party wants to do. We want to start to cut some of the overburdensome regulations, some of the overburdensome laws that prevent you from growing and thriving. The war on drugs is a great example. We've devastated African-American communities by this drug war. Let's be honest, drugs won the war on drugs. And guns is going to win the war on guns. Poverty is going to win the war on poverty. The government is inefficient at what it does and doesn't have the answers.
Okay. What about maintaining order?
Starting to cut these regulations and rules.
What about, just real quick, got about 30 seconds left. How would you maintain order in our major cities? Are you a law and order guy?
No, unfortunately, that also goes down to the cities. The federal government doesn't have a role to step in. It's upon the cities to do what they need to do to get themselves under control. As much as a lot of people aren't going to love what I have to say when I say this, the federal government really doesn't have authority to step in. We need to be pressuring cities to listen to what's going on and understand why it's going on and adapt.
All right. Wise words from Dwayne Whitmer. He's seeking your vote as Libertarian candidate in the New York 27th. Dwayne, thanks for being on the program today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. And thank you for joining us here for Radio Free New York. Kevin or Andrew, perhaps, we'll be back tomorrow.
She walks with intention. She gets attention. She wears Leg Avenue. Everywhere she walks is the Leg Avenue.